Clint Eastwood finally talks about Robert Redford at 95. On May 31st, 1930, in San Francisco, California, Clint Eastwood was born. Clinton Eastwood Jr. Eastwood's childhood was affected by the harsh reality of the Great Depression. His family moved about a lot in search of work before finally settling in Piedmont, California. Eastwood was tall and slim, with a quiet confidence and rugged good looks. His early life did not instantly steer him toward Hollywood glory. He did a lot of different professions, such being a lifeguard, a forest firefighter, and a steel worker, while steadily getting interested in acting. His innate appearance and charm ultimately got him tiny acting jobs in the 1950s, but it wasn't easy or quick for him to become famous. He started in the entertainment business with hard work, determination, and a slow rise to fame. He got his big break when he was hired as Rowdy Yates in the Western Rawhide on TV from 1959 to 1965. The show let him show off his calm manner and strong screen presence, two things that would become hallmarks of his career. But he really became a worldwide star when he went to Italy to work with director Sergio Leone on the now famous Dollars trilogy of spaghetti westerns, A Fistful of Dollars, 1964, For a Few Dollars, 1965, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, 1966. Eastwood played a new kind of Western hero in The Man with No Name. Mysterious, quiet, morally gray, but impossible to resist. These movies not only made him a legend in the history of film, but they also changed the Western genre for a new generation. The success of those spaghetti westerns led Eastwood to the 1970s, where he started to try out different kinds of characters and work with different people. His role as Inspector Dirty Harry Callahan in the 1971 criminal thriller Dirty Harry made him a film character that people would never forget. The character, a fierce San Francisco cop with an unyielding sense of justice and a readiness to break the rules, became a cultural icon and was brought back in multiple sequels. "Do you feel lucky, punk?" became a classic saying and is still one of the most famous lines in movie history. Eastwood's portrayal of Harry Callahan struck a chord with people during a time of social upheaval, giving voice to their frustrations and starting conversations about law, justice, and vigilantism. Eastwood wanted to do more with his profession than only act, even if he was a successful leading man. He started his own production business, Mal Paso Productions, which let him have more say over the movies he made. He quickly moved behind the camera, where he directed and produced a wide range of films that let him try out different ways of presenting stories and look at themes of morality, redemption, and the complexity of people. His work as a director started to get good reviews with early hits like Play Misty for Me 1971, which showed how good he was at making stories that kept people on the edge of their seats. Over time, people respected his work behind the camera as much as they did his work in front of the camera. Eastwood's directing career reached amazing heights with movies like Unforgiven, which won him Academy Awards for both Best Director and Best Picture in 1992, and is frequently thought of as one of the best westerns ever filmed. Million Dollar Baby 2004 won him Oscars in the same categories, reaffirming his place as one of the best directors of his generation. His other major directing efforts, such as Mystic River 2003, Letters from Iwo 2006, American Sniper 2014, and Sully 2016, showed that he could handle several genres with emotional depth and accuracy. His filmmaking approach, which is known for being efficient, minimalist, and focused on conveying stories instead of showing off, has won him praise not just in Hollywood, but all across the world. Clint Eastwood has had a life outside of his work that has been both complicated and unique. He is known for being quite autonomous and has followed his own interests in music, politics, and public service. He loves jazz and has written and played music for some of his movies. He was mayor of Carmel by the Sea, California from 1986 to 1988, which showed that he was dedicated to serving his town and was willing to take on leadership roles outside of the entertainment industry. Clint Eastwood married Maggie Johnson, a lovely young woman who was a model at the time, on December 19, 1953. Eastwood and Johnson got married before Eastwood became famous in Hollywood. Johnson was beside him through the hard times and the early years of his career. The marriage would survive for more than 30 years through the ups and downs of Eastwood's rising fame, his developing image as a Hollywood leading man, and his increasingly problematic personal life. Eastwood and Johnson have 2 kids together. Kyle Eastwood, their first child, was born in 1968. He went on to become a well-known jazz bassist and composer, making a name for himself in the music business instead of following his father's path into acting. Their second child, Allison Eastwood, was born in 1972. She later became an actress and director, appearing in movies and finally working behind the camera. Eastwood's indiscretions outside of marriage, which were well known in Hollywood, often caused problems in the marriage. Clint and Maggie finally broke up after years of stress. Their divorce was made official in 1984. Some reports say that Maggie Johnson got between $25 million and $30 million as part of the settlement. This was a lot of money, and it was a sign of Eastwood's financial success at the time and the length of their marriage. Eastwood started dating dancer and actress Roxanne Tunis while he was still married to Johnson. Their connection started in 1959 and lasted until about 1973, which was a big part of his marriage. Eastwood had his first known child outside of marriage during this relationship. The child, a daughter named Kimber, was born in 1964. At the time, Kimber's existence was not publicly known, and for many years after that, it was kept mostly quiet since Eastwood worked hard to keep his public image in check. Roxanne Tunis was a stunt woman and dancer in Hollywood, and her long-term relationship with Eastwood implied that they were friends as well as business partners. The relationship ended, but it was one of the most important early ones in Eastwood's tumultuous love life. In 1975, Clint Eastwood started a new chapter in his life when he moved in with actress Sondre Locage. Their romance was very public and lasted about 14 years. During that time, they worked together on a number of movies including The Outlaw, Josie Wales 1976, Every Which Way Way Loose 1978, Bronco Billy 1980, and Sudden Impact 1983. Locke became a well-known face in Eastwood's movies, and their relationship was both romantic and professional. People on the outside thought their relationship was strong, but it was full of problems behind the scenes. It is said that Eastwood cheated on her a lot when they were together, having several affairs and fathering at least 3 children with different women during this time. Locke subsequently talked about how hurt she felt by the betrayal, and their split in April 1989 was harsh, culminating to a number of lawsuits and public fights. Eastwood's relationship with Locke was one of the most dramatic and talked about times in his love life, highlighting the differences between how he acted in public and how he acted in private. While he was with Locke, Eastwood had an affair with Jaseline Reeves, a flight attendant. This connection was mostly kept quiet. They kept their relationship secret for years, yet it led to the birth of 2 kids. Their son, Scott Eastwood, was born in 1986 and went on to become an actor like his father. He has been in movies including The Longest Ride 2015 and Pacific Rim, Uprising 2018. Catherine, their daughter, was born in 1988 and went on to become a screenwriter and sometimes an actress. Eastwood kept his relationship with Reeves a secret, and he didn't officially accept Scott and Catherine as his children until many years later. This made his family life even more complicated. After breaking up with Sondre Locage in 1989, Eastwood started dating actress Frances Fisher, who was also famous. Fisher was a well-known actress on stage and television. She was noted for her fiery presence and for her roles in movies like Unforgiven 1992, in which she starred with Eastwood. They were both professional and personal for a long time, and they had a daughter named Francesca in 1993. Francesca Eastwood grew up in the public eye and subsequently became an actress and model, making a name for herself as a public figure. Eastwood's relationship with Fisher didn't last, but it was seen as one of the more stable and loving ones in his life, especially compared to some of the more rocky ones he had before. Clint Eastwood has lived long enough to see whole generations of actors, directors, and cultural icons emerge and go. He is now 95 years old. Eastwood has rarely gossiped or talked about other Hollywood stars during his long career. He has always had a reputation for quiet dignity. He was a man who would rather let his work speak for itself than any interview or headline. That's why it was such a big deal when he eventually talked about Robert Redford, another cinematic star. Both of these guys had a huge impact on American movies, and even though their careers rarely crossed paths, their names have long been linked as examples of lasting star power. Many people were startled when Eastwood revealed his thoughts, as he is usually guarded with what he says. He started by saying that he had always respected Robert from a distance. We grew up around the same period, and although we didn't hang out much, I always thought he was quite cool. He had a unique way of dressing and a unique way of being. Eastwood didn't often give out compliments. Therefore, this was a rare time when he did. The statement showed that even though he had a very successful career, he was still conscious of the art and influence of other people his age. The two performers are examples of distinct types of American men. Eastwood became the tough face of the Western, the quiet gunslinger whose steely gaze could take over a scene without saying a word. Redford, on the other hand, was a polished charmer. He was a golden-haired heartthrob who had both charisma and emotional vulnerability. They painted two sides of the same cultural coin, and Eastwood appeared to understand it. Eastwood said, "He wasn't like me." And that was the point. He was the best at what he did, and it worked. You could tell Redford from anyone else. Fans and critics have often thought about what it would have been like if the two stars had been in the same movie. Eastwood's stoic grit and Redford's natural charm could have made for an electrifying pairing, but it never occurred. This was also brought up by Eastwood. People always wanted to know why we never created a movie together. The truth is that the timing never worked out. He had his own projects, and I had mine. Neither of us wanted to change what we were doing. But I don't think we needed to film a movie together to know what the other person stood for. He was doing his thing, and I was doing mine. Even though they never worked together, their careers were often in the same direction. Both guys soon went behind the camera, where they showed that they were just as good at directing as they were at acting. Eastwood became known for telling stories that were bare bones and emotionally honest. Redford, on the other hand, started Sundance, which helped independent voices change the way movies are made today. Eastwood really admired this accomplishment. Robert did something amazing with Sundance. He offered filmmakers chances they might not have received otherwise. That's not simple. It takes vision. You need courage. He made a legacy that will last longer than both of us. Eastwood's reflection is particularly striking because it shows how much he has learned over the years. He doesn't talk like a competitor or even a peer anymore at 95. He looks back at the lives of two men who shaped the history of film and left behind works that still inspire people today. Well, I guess when you get to my age, you start to think about the people who walked the same road, Eastwood remarked softly. Robert was one of those folks. I always liked how he conducted himself with grace. It's not simple to keep your dignity in Hollywood. He did it. The comment was classic Eastwood, calm, quiet, and full of significance. It wasn't showy or romantic, but it was real. He was able to sum up Redford's impact on movies in just a few words, and he also revealed something about himself. For years, people have loved Eastwood for his strength, stillness, and control of the screen. But in this late chapter of his life, his readiness to talk about his peers indicates a different side of him. One of introspection, humility, and thankfulness. Eastwood's thoughts regarding Redford are both a compliment and a reminder. In Hollywood, where egos collide and rivalries make headlines, two movie stars were able to get along and make their mark on history. We didn't have to fight. Eastwood said what he had to say. We both made it, and I'm pleased he was out there doing what he did. It makes the movies better.